All right, so as promised, I'm back with Bob. So Bob has had his second session now. Yesterday was 30 days smoke free.
Yep.
Yeah, 30 days smoke free. So today's day 31. So why don't you talk a little bit about what's been different since your last session? Because the first session you mentioned about your strategy in it and how the strategy I explained enabled you to just stay away from cigarettes. And by the way, I know people are wondering what Bob was talking about. I'm going to explain a little bit about that before this video is over. So let's just talk about what's happened since the last session though.
I don't smoke. It's kind of like I never smoked at all. Like you don't have to try. It just don't enter your mind. Like you don't try not to smoke. You just don't smoke. That's all.
Yeah, so it's not even
I
entering
don't know
your
how the
mind.
hell you can explain it. I really don't know.
It's a difficult thing to explain, that's for sure.
Yes,
But I think that's helpful for people, what you just said,
Yeah.
because what you said was it's almost like you never smoked. And you smoked for over 50 years.
50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you finding that you have to use willpower at all?
None whatsoever. Like you just don't think smoke. You just, and honest to goodness, it's like you never smoked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you spent in the last session, the second session, you spent probably, I would say an hour and a half in a pretty deep hypnotic
Oh my
trance.
golly, I was snooze city.
Yeah. And when you left here, how did that feel when you left here?
Good. I like it. Really, you can't pinpoint the change or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't smoke.
That's what happens when
Yeah.
when the change is made unconsciously.
Yeah.
The change is there, the results are there, but you can't quite explain it.
Yep.
But who cares about the explanation?
I don't need to
Because all we
explain.
care about is that you don't want to smoke.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
you're a non-smoker. Let's talk about the strategy that Bob had referred to really, really quickly. So people do things in a strategy, and Bob's no different. There was a particular syntax of activities that were happening externally and internally that were causing him to smoke. Really, right? That's what it was. It was a series of things.
Yeah.
So once we figured out what Bob was doing and how he was doing it, and we took that strategy of his that he was doing in a nanosecond and we wrote it down on a piece of paper and said, Bob, do you realize this is how you're doing it every time you smoke? For the first time, Bob realized that, yeah, that is how I'm doing it. And then when you have a particular way of doing something, you can always interrupt that strategy and do something different. So I don't know, Bob, the explanation I gave you, but I use a variety of them. But sometimes what I explain to people is if you want to bake a cake, you have to put the ingredients together in a particular order. And then you have to bake it by preheating the oven. I mean, you don't just take the mix and then a jug of water and some sugar and throw it all into the oven and then figure, I'll mix it later, right? It doesn't work that way. It has to be step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and then eventually you'll have a cake. What happens if you just take the water out of it and you just say, you know what, step 2, which is adding the water, we're just not going to do that. Are you going to get a cake?
Works for me.
Actually, there's the explanation. If someone asks you how you
pretty
quit
much.
smoking,
Yeah.
you just say, I took the water out of my cake.
Yeah. Whatever floats your boat. But, but no, golly,
Yeah.
easy.
It is easy. So that's the explanation. There was about 3 or 4 people that sent me private messages saying, great video, but what are you talking about strategy? Maybe I confused you a little bit more by explaining it that way because it takes time to really give you a detailed explanation of how it works. In a nutshell, that's how it works. Step 1, 2, 3, 4 will lead to 5. If you take 2 and you change it, you cannot get to 5. There you go.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yep.
All right. So there will be a video 3, there will be a 4, and there will be a 5 because there's 5 sessions in total that Bob's going to do. Maybe we'll have to talk about something different in the future sessions because you're a non-smoker now, so now we're going to do something else.
Oh, good.
Maybe we'll get you exercising or
Oh, yeah, I need that.
or jogging.
I really need that.
All right. Thanks, Bob.
Okay.